am a registered nurse and married to my high school sweetheart. We have a 2-year-old boy and a 2-month-old boy. I am Cariana, and I am a miraculous mama.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the Miraculous Mamas podcast. I'm your host, Elizabeth Joy, and I'm so glad that you are here. I know that last week I said that we were going to have an episode this week on sex with Shan Boodram, but unfortunately we had to reschedule. She is pregnant and I'm so excited for her, and she decided to go on maternity leave early, and I do not blame her. Being pregnant toward the end definitely gets tough. So we are going to circle back around to that one later after she has her baby and she's, kind of feeling back to work and all of that. So I'm super excited to have that conversation with her later. But I have an awesome episode today. Anyways, I am so excited to talk to the ladies, the founders and the ladies who keep this thing running for Hope and Plum. They make ring slings. And what's really cool about their company is it's woman owned, but it's also made by working at home moms. So I love that. It's such a cool mission. And we have an amazing conversation because I just started getting into baby wearing and I had tons of questions for them, and they're just so knowledgeable. And it was just such a great conversation. Also, they are doing a tutorial with me this week on my IGTV on Instagram. So look out for that so that you can get your own ring sling and know how to wear your baby. I'm going to go ahead and grab the ladies, have them introduce themselves and why they became so passionate about baby wearing. And we are going to dive right into that conversation. All right, everybody, I'm super excited about today's episode. I have Mallory and Sky here with me, and we're going to talk about baby wearing. And I'm excited to talk to them because I am very interested in doing it. I've tried it a couple of times, and I have to be honest, Jovi hasn't loved it. So I'm wondering if I started too late or what's going on, or if there's a way for me to do it better. But these ladies are here from Hope and Plum Ring Sling, and I'm so excited that you guys took the time to be here with me. So I'd love for you to tell us who you are and how you got into this whole baby wearing arena.
Hi, I'm Mallory. Baby wearing was something that I really loved when I was a nanny prior to becoming a mother. And it was something that I loved doing with my nanny kiddo. So I knew I wanted to do it with my daughter when I was pregnant with her. And we just got into that when she was born. And I kind of got Sky into it as well. And out of my love for it came, and Sky's love for baby wearing came our company, Hope and Plum.
That's awesome.
Hey, so I'm Sky. Pretty much what Mallory said. Mallory got pregnant. We met in actually a fertility app when we were both trying to conceive. And so she actually got pregnant before me. And so I kind of followed Mallory's lead on a lot of things. And baby wearing was one of those. And ring slings was one of the only baby wearing items that I was really drawn to. I just really loved how easy it was to use. And I'm a little bit too, lazy is not a good word. But wrapping was not for me. Impatient. I'm too impatient. That's the perfect descriptor for me. I was just too impatient. And so ring slings really spoke to me. And I was really thankful to have someone like Mallory who helped kind of walk me through these early stages of baby wearing. So I don't think you're too late. I just think that maybe you could use some help, and Mallory's amazing. So
yay, good. Yeah, well, because I was reading somewhere about, I'd love to dive into the benefits of baby wearing. And I know one of the benefits is like after they're born, if you start really soon, it's kind of recreating that womb-like experience, and it's very comforting for them. Well, my daughter's 6 weeks old now, and I tried it one time last week. Actually, I've done it 3 times. The first time, she didn't love it. The second time, we went on a walk, and so I think just like the bouncing motion and everything, then she was fine with it, and she kind of passed out. And then the last time she just like was pissed. So I don't know if I'm like putting her in at the wrong time because I'm like trying to settle her when she's already mad, or if I'm doing it wrong, or like what's going on. So I'd love for you guys just to kind of, before we dive into everything I could potentially be doing right or wrong, what are the benefits of baby wearing?
Yeah, there's so many benefits to baby wearing. Like you said, it really helps babies transition to life outside of the womb. And it's a really great way for parents to bond with their kiddos, whether, it's a father, whether it's a grandmother, mothers, adopted parents, whoever it may be. It's a really great way for kids to feel safe and close to whoever is taking care of them. If you are a mother and you just had a baby, skin to skin can be done while baby wearing. And it's actually a great way because then you can be hands-free while doing skin to skin, getting that oxytocin boost. There's really just so many benefits to it. And it is a great way to be hands-free. I know one thing that a lot of new parents especially struggle with is your life is kind of flipped upside down and you have this little tiny thing that needs you, and you are used to, getting yourself a drink when you want to grab a drink of water, grabbing yourself some food or a snack. And it's hard to put down a crying baby. And so baby wearing is also a really great way to, again, keep baby close, keep them calm. They can feel your heartbeat. They can, feel you breathing. It's a great way for you to be able to go about not your normal life, but daily life, typical life. And so I think that's another great benefit. Another thing is that, baby wearing is, baby wearing is amazing. I think it's great.
Yeah. I mean, I've read about some of those benefits, and I know that I've also heard that it can help like stimulate the baby's brain to develop to their full potential. And there's just like other developmental benefits that it has for babies. I'd love for you guys to touch on that as well.
Yeah. So, the idea is like that when babies are worn, or you're doing baby wearing, is that they generally cry less. So that gives them a little bit more of an ability to engage with their environment. Also, just sort of being close to your caregiver. I mean, I know my kids were super observant when they were in a sling. So they're always kind of looking around. And actually, I think some people think, if I hold my baby all day, they won't walk or they won't develop. And both of my girls walked early, crawled early, sort of did all those physical milestones pretty early. And so I think, again, when you're taking baby with you all the time, so, when I was during maternity leave, when my youngest was in a sling all the time and would sleep during something like this, she would be a part of, my normal everyday interactions with other people. And so her seeing sort of those social interactions, her hearing my voice and engaging with other people, and not only sort of being with me when I'm, kind of babying her or doing something like that. I think that's really a big positive for their social development. And then as well as, their physical, like I said, as long as you're baby wearing properly, it's physically, it's, not going to impact your child. Your child will walk, I promise. And then you'll cry when they do.
Then you're going to say, stop growing so fast.
It's too fast.
Yeah. We are going to take a quick break from this episode to talk about hair loss, because there are 30 million women that are impacted by weakened or thinning hair. And if you are among them, know that you are not alone and that there is a solution that you can trust to deliver the results, and that is Nutrafol. Nutrafol offers 2 targeted formulas for women that are clinically shown to improve hair growth and thickness with less shedding through all stages of life. You can get healthier hair growth in a shorter amount of time because it takes so long. But with Nutrafol, you'll begin to experience thicker, stronger, faster hair within 3 to 6 months. And in a clinical study, 86% of women reported improved hair growth after 6 months. More than 1,500 top doctors recommend Nutrafol as an effective and high-quality solution for healthier hair. And one of the reasons that I love them is that They use medical grade botanicals and they are 100% drug free. And you know that I love things that are clean and that use good ingredients. So I was reading the label on the back and I was like, wow, this is some really good stuff in here. It's almost like just an amazing multivitamin. The other reason I love them is just, I know that so many women struggle after having a baby, then finishing their breastfeeding journey with hair loss and wanting to get that confidence in their hair back. And it's such an amazing formula to do that. And you're going to see results in other areas of your life. It brings improvement to your overall well-being, including more restful sleep, less stress, better skin, hair, nails, and libido, which is amazing. And right now you can grow thicker, healthier hair and support the Miraculous Mamas podcast by going to Nutrafol.com and using promo code MAMAS, and new customers will get 20% off. This is their best offer available anywhere, plus free shipping on every order. Get 20% off at Nutrafol.com, spelt Nutrafol.com, promo code MAMAS. Now back to the episode. So a couple of things came up when you were saying that. So first of all, when you're saying people think like, okay, they're not going to walk or whatever. But when you look at it, so many other cultures baby wear all the time because they have to. And we have this sort of mindset that our ways are superior to like other ways. And it's like, we got to train our babies. We got to, just kind of have these certain systems set into place. And that's actually a very Western, newer way of parenting. So I'd love for you guys just to kind of touch on that.
So I think, I don't disagree. I can't imagine not baby wearing. Again, sort of, when I say I'm on maternity leave, so I'm a lawyer full time during the day. And then I do Hope and Plum kind of at night. So when I'm on maternity leave, I'm actually still working all the time. So she's kind of with me all the time, or I'm out. I have a toddler. Oh, I have 2 toddlers now. I have a 3-year-old and then my 18-month-old, and then I'm pregnant with my 3rd. But so, I literally don't know how I could function without baby wearing. And so while I'm not, I'm doing chores or whatever it may be, I literally can't put her like down. My youngest was in a sling from about 2 hours old. And then I don't think she ever came out. Like she napped in a sling. She literally, she just came out to sleep. Like she stayed with me at all times, which was great. And so, and I think it really helps too, as a mom, to have that comfort sort of, she's sleeping and she's happy and she's with me. But yes, I definitely think that it's incredibly common in other cultures. I personally, don't use my stroller with my babies until they're, I don't even know, until they're much older. And that's just because, again, I love that sort of physical connection. And I think that really helps me as a person and as a mother to know that they're safe to, I don't question whether my child's sitting there breathing because she's right on my body and I can feel her. And I think that confidence boost as a mom, even a 2nd-time mom, 3rd-time mom, it's still so important because you never know. You put your baby down and you just sit there and you worry about them, or at least I do. And so I think that it's a really wonderful way also to build confidence for especially new mothers once you kind of get the hang of it. And so, yeah, I don't disagree. I think that strollers are actually a very new thing. If you look at the history of mothering, or parenting in general. And so I think that baby wearing is just such a benefit. But Mallory, if you have anything to add, I'm sure I missed something, but.
Yeah, I think that one thing that happens, especially with first-time parents, is they go through the lists and they see all these containers to keep their kids in, something to put them down in each room. And I think that baby wearing, like the benefits that you get from it, and then also having just one thing that you need to put on you, put on your spouse, put on whoever, it gives, I think it's a really nice way to minimize if that's your goal, or, I think that we always think that more is better, and it is nice to have less. And that's one reason that I think baby wearing is so important in other cultures and has become less so here, just from that kind of concept of the containers and let's put baby down and more.
Yeah, I never thought of it like that. And I'd love to know, because like, as you're saying this, because I feel like everybody has a different parenting style, right? And there's a million different books on what you're doing right or wrong. But it's like everyone has to figure out what's best for them and what works for them. And I feel like baby wearing would work really well for me. I know my sister did it. She has 4 kids. So it's like, you don't have a choice. You have to be wearing a baby, basically. You have other kids to take care of. And I just remember her always having a baby wrapped up on her. And I'd like to start that with Jovi. But I also feel like there's so many opinions then, and I'd love to hear what you guys have to say about that, of other people being like, oh, you're wearing your baby all the time. Well, she's going to, not be independent, or she, like, you can't wear your baby all the time. You have to put her down to nap. Otherwise she's never going to learn to sleep, or she's, you know what I mean? Just the people's judgments on your choice to be like, no, I'm wearing my baby. It's fine. Like, she's fine. Like how do you just knock those down?
So, it's a little easier for me because I'm a second-time mom, right? Soon to be third. So, I can kind of use my first as an example. My youngest, who, like I said, has been in a sling from 2 hours old, also naps or sleeps, she naps from 12 to 3. She sleeps from 6:30 p.m. to 6:30 a.m. through the night, and has since she was like 5 months old. So again, those kind of things, I think, just kind of personal experience. And I'm really fortunate. I have a wonderful sleeper. And then, to the independence concept, my 3-year-old is the most independent human being. And I don't know. It's incredible. So I really think that, those types of things are sort of comments from people who, again, it's unconventional, right? Our parents didn't really baby wear. My mom did, and people thought she was like a hippie. And I think that's, and my mom had 10 kids. And so she literally had to baby wear, or one of us had to baby wear. Mm-hmm. And so, I think it's sort of this misconception, but it is becoming more mainstream, thankfully, as there's more and more options. And I think that that's one of the nice things sort of with this growth of sort of fashionable carriers has been really helpful, in the sense that, developing something that's both beautiful and functional has really been a really big driver, I think, in pushing more baby wearing, because I know that I would rather wear a pretty carrier than not, because you still want to look beautiful as a mom. And so I think that that's sort of one of the big things that we think about when we design slings, especially, is washability, durability, and also, like, is it something that people will want to use? And so trying to get that aesthetically pleasing. I mean, again, that's more of how you drive people into like, oh, this is beautiful and I want to try it. Like, and I think that that's been a really big positive impact. But I'm going to let Mallory jump in.
I wanted to just jump in and say that I think that people who have comments on children being worn, it's always one of those funny things. But I always want to ask, like, why would you ever want to put down your kids? Especially when they're tiny babies, it never lasts. And that's usually what I say to people, like, they say you should put down your kid. You should put them down. You should put them into XYZ, in a car seat. Why aren't they in their car seats when we're walking around in a store, when they don't need to be? And I think that you can just say, I want to hold them for as long as they're going to let me, because there is that day where they don't want you to hold them quite as much. Like, I have a almost 4-year-old, and I love it when she asks me for cuddles, because those don't happen very often anymore. I can cuddle with my 10-month-old all I want, and I can wear him, and it's lovely. But my older daughter, it's few and far between. So I think that that's usually what I would tell people to say if somebody asked you, why are you wearing your kid? Why are you baby wearing? It's because I want those cuddles, and someday I won't have them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I think by now most people know that you can't spoil a baby, right? There used to be that old whatever it was where they're like, oh, you're going to spoil your baby by holding them too much. And I think by now it's like, you can't. And I actually read something super interesting the other day. And it was that babies don't know how to self-soothe. So this concept that you need to like put them down so they learn to self-soothe, like it neurologically hasn't developed yet. It comes at a certain age. And so you can't force them to train to self-soothe. It's something like learning to walk, like it's when their body, like you can't expect a baby to walk, So it's one of those things that will come when they're ready mentally, and neurologically, and it's not something that you can necessarily like train them to do. So I thought that was super interesting. I just read that last week and I had no idea, because I even thought like, okay, I have to put Jovi down when she's like almost asleep, so she learns to kind of soothe herself to sleep. And then I'm like, oh, that doesn't happen. It doesn't exist. So what can you do? Yeah. Oh, you can speak to it.
Oh, I was just going to say that I think that entire concept is something that I've struggled with my daughter. Everyone that I knew was their kids were sleeping well without them. Their kids were going to sleep drowsy. My daughter was never that way. And it was so hard to do things, again, going back to, I need to get a few things done in my daily life. And baby wearing was that way that she could be soothed. And I could also have the abilities to go and, run a little laundry, get myself some water, get myself a snack, things like that, when, all she wanted to do was be with me and sleep with me. And I think that's another positive for baby wearing, is that does help kids learn those self-soothing techniques, because they feel comfortable and know that you're there, and they, develop those things. So,
yeah, for sure.
Yeah. And I think that one other, I think it is challenging. I think there's this idea of approaching babies as just sort of this, every baby does the same thing and all babies are the same. And they're just not. I mean, they're just very different. And you as a parent are different. I mean, you're always evolving. And so it's like this one size fits all concept doesn't really work. And so I think that's sort of, we really always go with your gut, like you're a good parent, like you have good instincts. Like, my youngest, I kept her in my room longer than my oldest, and sort of just, my oldest, I put her into her crib earlier because somebody at work who was my mentor told me, oh, you better do this or you're never going to get any sleep. And I was like, oh my gosh, you're right. And I did that. And she's like the worst sleeper ever now. And I'm not blaming it. I'm just saying. Whereas Madeline, I just went with my gut. I knew when she was ready. Like I just listened to myself, and I was like, I wasn't ready to put my oldest into her crib when I did, but I was listening to somebody else. And then with my youngest, I really just listened to myself. Like, I mean, I still ask for advice. Like I still ask friends, but at the end of the day, I know that my instincts generally are going to be the best, because I know this child, she slept on my body. She was in my body. And then she slept on my body for, months and months. Like I know this child. And so I think you can sense sort of those transitions and when those are going to happen, and they don't happen for everyone at the same time. And so this idea of, oh, you better transition your baby at 4 months. Well, no, that doesn't necessarily mean anything. And some babies need to transition earlier. Some babies don't need to be with you. And I hope that doesn't happen with my new baby. I want him to stay in a sling forever. But, and I was going to actually speak on, sort of about this today. My 18-month-old got shots, and the last 2 times we've gotten shots, I put her in the sling, and she does so much better. And it's that safe space concept of like, I'm with my mom. I know this is my safe space and I'm okay. And she didn't cry. And again, I'm not saying that this is like some sort of map, but it is this idea that Mallory was talking about of this safe space. Like she sees a sling and she's like, oh, and she's so excited to get in now. And sort of this idea of like, I'm going to snuggle with my mom, or she's going to force me to take pictures, but that's okay. And so I really think that is another wonderful benefit. As they get older, my 3-year-old will still sling. Mallory was talking about how how her daughter will still kind of come for cuddles and things like that. And that is the best feeling, like when they're feeling sad or frustrated and they're going through that toddler phase where their whole world is just developing so quickly, and they sometimes don't feel comfortable or they need that confidence. And that's her safe space. It's not often, but it's so nice to know that that's where she can go to calm down figure things out, and then she can come out and she is, you know, in a better place. And it's so wonderful to watch. I mean, we really tell people you don't have to baby wear just for 3 months, 4 months. Like, I still baby wear my 3-year-old when I can. And so I think that that's the other benefit, is building that safe space for your kid.
Yeah, that was one of my questions, is how long can you wear for? Is there like a limit?
So it really depends. So the answer is no, there is not a limit per se. It just depends upon the carrier that you're using. Different carriers have different weight limits that they've been tested to. And that's just based upon the regulations that we have here in the United States. But if there's plenty of carriers that go higher, have higher weight limits. Our ring slings are tested to 35 pounds. So that's where we say, you know, that's our limit. You know, what people do is kind of up to them in that regard, but that's our limit. So yeah, there's carriers for up to 65 pounds, 75, 100. I mean, there are carriers that you can wear. Yeah. And it's actually really great because there are, you know, some kids with like physical disabilities, and it's a great way for them to be able to get out and enjoy, you know, nature with their parents, or again, to stay close to their parents and feel safe. And I think baby wearing isn't just for babies, even though the name suggests that. It's kind of, you know, for older kids as well.
We're going to take a quick break to this episode to talk about life. It is all about connecting to something bigger than our day-to-day worries, like family, community, ourself. But sometimes, like, you still need a break. Life can be so stressful. And when I feel like I need a break, I like to play on Best Fiends and clear a few levels, and I connect with people there. I'm also very competitive, so it's nice to be able to play people I know and compete for I guess who's better and getting further in the game. And I'm officially in the 800s, which is so much fun. And they're constantly adding to it. So they never run out of levels. There's over 5,000 right now and counting. So if you're worried that you're going to get to level 3,247 and run out of fun, don't be, because there's always an update, whether it's more levels or fun changes to the game based on fan feedback. It's also free to download and has literally millions of 5-star reviews on the Apple App Store and Google Play. Download Best Fiends free today on the Apple App Store or Google Play. That's friends without the R, Best Fiends. Now back to the episode. This is a total tangent, but for some reason it made me think of it because I just watched the episode of The Office where Angela talks about Dwight strapping her to his chest and walking across the field to like work out. And when you said you can wear him up to 100 pounds, that's like the visual that I got was Dwight and Angela for some reason. So
that's a beautiful visual.
Yes. I'm glad you get me. Sometimes people are like, I don't know what you're talking about. I'm like, okay, never mind.
I love The Office, so I get it.
Yes. But so another thing, I guess, I was going to ask is, because way at the beginning, when I was saying like my struggles that I was having, you had mentioned there's a way to wear them that's not the proper way. So what is the not proper way, and what repercussions could it cause?
So I don't know if I would say that there are any repercussions that it will cause. I mean, there's really not a way that you could wear your baby that would hurt them indefinitely forever. I don't think that that's the case. I think that what she had mentioned, you know, wearing improperly, it's mostly about safety, you know, especially with something like a ring sling. You treat the sling essentially like a hammock. So baby's bum kind of sits back into it, and then the fabric holds them in, and it holds them against your body. You also are like a counterweight for the baby. So I think that when we say improperly wearing, means it's uncomfortable, or it might be unsafe, and that baby could potentially fall out. And that's kind of that's not something that happens very often. So I don't want to scare people by saying like baby would fall out. I mean, especially if they're on you, like you can feel if your child shifts, you can you have those extra senses. But it's something that we always recommend, safe, proper baby wearing for comfort, because if you're trying to use, your baby wearing device and it's not comfortable for you and it's not comfortable for baby, you're not going to want to do it. Mm-hmm. So we always recommend safety. Safety is the first thing, and then comfort is the second thing. Those are the two things that we really push, and we always try to present safe baby wearing in our social media, so that way people can look at every single picture and know this is how it's supposed to look. And then, if they're still struggling with something else as regarding comfort, we're always there to help and kind of give pointers and tips.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know if it's different with wraps compared to slings, but I've heard with wraps you have to be careful because of hip development or something like that. So I just didn't know if that was a thing. Yes and no. I mean, all baby wearing, you really want baby's bum to be below their knees. That's basically an M shape, or froggy legs is what it's called. And that's the optimal way for children to sit, because it takes pressure off of their hips. It allows them to basically sit back, get comfortable. And that's what you would aim for with any carrier that you would be using. I know that there is a lot about, safe hips. I don't think that most of the carriers that are around that create that M position, that you have to worry about baby's hips, because that M position is the safe position, if that makes sense. Mm-hmm. There are some carriers where kind of babies dangle straight down. Their little legs dangle straight down, and that's typically what we would say. It might not be very comfortable for baby. I don't know that it would really cause a ton of harm to use, every once in a while. But I would say that there are far better carriers out there that will be comfortable for you, for your kiddo, and will give that optimal positioning in the M shape. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that makes sense. So another question. When do you know how to to whether to face them in toward you or out toward the world?
It's a really great question. I know a lot of people, they want to face their baby out because baby wants to look around.
And you can start that at a young age?
So I would say typically I usually recommend that kiddos have full trunk and neck control. So whenever that develops, I feel like typically around, I shouldn't say full trunk, I would say partial trunk control, because full trunk would be them sitting up completely unassisted. But at least neck control, absolutely. 4 months is usually probably the low end of what I would recommend facing babies out. And I would recommend it being done for only short spurts, because one of the benefits of baby wearing is that if a child gets overstimulated, they're out for a walk and they're looking at everything, is that if they're facing in, they can turn to you when they get overstimulated and kind of find that safety. Whereas when they're facing out, they don't have the ability to kind of turn away. So I would say if you wanted to go for a 10-minute walk facing out, that would be a great option. Once your kiddo hits about 5-6 months, or on the very low end. And again, if they fall asleep, flip them in if you can, or take them out of baby carrier, just because you want to make sure that their airway stays cleared, and it's a little harder when they're kind of bobbing their head forward when they're facing forward. Mm-hmm. So those would be my stipulations regarding forward facing.
Yeah. So a couple other interesting things that I read about too was that a study found that the act of carrying babies increases breastfeeding rates in older babies. So I know that there was almost like a correlation between wearing and breastfeeding. And is it possible to breastfeed while you're wearing?
Yeah. So actually, this was one of the biggest reasons I love baby wearing, was because I could literally feed my child on the go. And it was also sort of a nice way. I don't really have to stop. I'm kind of known to just, if I'm doing a live on Instagram and my child's hungry and she's in the sling, I would just feed her discreetly. I mean, I'm pretty good at it now. But yes, I mean, my youngest breastfed until I got pregnant again, which probably would have kept going if I would have let her. But it's this, they're right there and they're right next to their food source. And I think that it can be challenging for some people depending on your breast size and things like that. I actually have a pretty large chest. I don't know. I always say I'm like a double D, and then Mallory's like, okay, you're like an E or more when I'm breastfeeding.
Yeah.
But it is really, once you get the hang of it, it is so amazing, right? Because you could be out at a grocery store or, at a restaurant in the old days,
right. Yeah.
where you could literally just start breastfeeding your child and it would be discreet, and you wouldn't have to sort of pull them out and do all of these other motions. It was, just boom, right there. They're right next to their food. So for me, it definitely helped me breastfeed longer than I did with my first. And I think that was really great. For you saying, earlier just to this, I did not ring sling with my oldest until she was a little bit older, to be honest with you, she was in the NICU for 2 weeks after she was born. And I remember the baby wearing consultant was like, oh, I don't know anything about ring slings. And so then I got like really nervous or she wasn't very comfortable with them. And then, it took a lot of like video calls with Mallory and sort of time with, to kind of, I gained that confidence. And then with my newborn, it was like, get in here. But it's just because you haven't started or you haven't kind of used it as much at 6 weeks as you'd hoped. I mean, don't worry, there is hope and you will be good. But,
yeah.
Yes, but no, I think it's really great for breastfeeding. I know, Mallory, if you want to speak to it, you're still breastfeeding, so you're probably in a better position than me.
Yeah, I think that it definitely helps, with older kids wearing them being close to the breast. It definitely helps to stimulate, them wanting to feed more often. And then also, again, that skin to skin, even at 10 months old, is still going to give a boost to your body, telling it to make more milk. And so I could absolutely see that being the case for so many people. I know I have a smaller chest than Sky. So it takes a little bit more for me to feed in the sling, but it still is like she was saying, it's a really great and easy way to do it. And I think that having them right there is very easy. And I think that also helps the ease.
I have a technical question when it comes to that. I wrote down, how do you whip your nipple out while you're breastfeeding? Because for me, I'm like, okay, so then do I need to like not have layers on? I need to, you know what I mean? Like just have like a breastfeeding tank and then maybe a cardigan, like how do I get that down?
I would say for me, my preferred way, if I know I'm going to be wearing the ring sling and my son's going to get hungry, is actually layers, but the double shirt method. So like either like a tank top, a breastfeeding tank top, and then just a regular loose, not too loose, but looser shirt that I can pull up. So it kind of can conceal the top, and then I can just, kind of unhook the baby wearing tank the breastfeeding tank. And then just kind of, then my boob is just out,
yeah.
But the rest of me is still covered. That's a great way to do it. Like you were saying, a tank with a cardigan's also really good. With ring slings, one of the things that I really like about them is the fact that you can use the tail to kind of like cover the top of your breast if you want to be a bit more modest, or if you also, I know some kids are like, hey, what's going on? What's going on out there? And they pop off and want to see what's happening. It's also a great way to kind of, okay, like, let's make this a little darker so you can't quite see what's happening and kind of can focus on eating, and then you're happier, and then we can go about whatever we're doing. So yeah, I would say technically 2 shirts is a great way. Something that buttons down, like this is actually a romper that I'm wearing, so that if it like buttons down or you can pull it down, it's also a great way to do it to get the boob out.
Yeah. Well, because I'm just picturing if you have the shirt over the tank top, how do you get that shirt up under the sling? You know,
what you can do is like you can kind of it's hard to describe, but I could show you. You basically can like lift your baby like away from your body and pull the shirt up.
Okay, got it.
And yeah, that's a great way. If you can pull your shirt down, you could also do that too. I tend to not wear shirts that I can pull down for whatever reason, so I usually will just pull it up in between us.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. Before we dive into your guys' business and how you got started with that and the amazing company that you have, I just want to also go back to when I was saying like those things that people may say, like your kid's never going to be independent. But I know there's studies too that also show when your kids feel like comforted and nurtured and all of that, they feel comfortable with their own dependence. And you're saying that you have a very independent child. So I'd love for you just to kind of maybe touch on that as people who have worn their babies and whose kids, aren't attached at their hip now.
Yeah. So I have 2 girls, like I said, a 3-year-old and an 18-month-old. And my 3-year-old is one of the most independent creatures to walk this earth, which I love most times. And I can't wait to see the woman she becomes. But, and like I said, I wore her a lot. And then my 18-month-old is also really independent, wants to do things on her own, doesn't want help from anyone, her sister. And like I said, but she knows that if something happens or she kind of gets outside of her comfort zone, she knows exactly where to turn to, right? She can come back to that safe space when she's kind of overstepped that safe feeling where she kind of lacks that confidence for what she's doing. And she knows that she can kind of come back. And like I said, I think that that's really a wonderful thing. I know that with my first, I really wanted her to be independent so fast. I was like, oh, when are you going to crawl? When are you going to walk? When are you going to talk? When are you going to do all these exciting new things? And, I realized with my second, like, please don't do these things. Just slow down and just enjoy that time and development. And like I said, it goes so fast no matter what. You like look back and, I don't even know where time went. And you hear that a lot from moms or any parent. And really, it's so true though. Like it just goes so quick. But, Mallory also has her daughter, Stella, is also independent. It's something we talk about all the time. And so, when I'm really frustrated, Mallory's just like, that's 3. And so I think that's, I don't think it's unique, to, in the sense that I don't think it's just my kids. Like, I think, Mallory has and Mallory and I have totally different personalities. Mm-hmm. And yet we still have 2 very independent, or our daughters are still super independent. I'm not speaking for Shep because who knows? He's 10 months. I'm sure he'll be very independent too, but we'll see.
I'm sure he will. Like Sky was saying, so one, I think, big difference between Sky's older daughter and my daughter is that my daughter wouldn't let me put her down. My daughter was very high needs and she needed to be with me all the time. She needed to see me. She needed to touch me. She needed, everything. And that was made easier by baby wearing. And I guess I was always really worried that she was always going to be that way. I was worried I was never going to be able to leave for a couple of hours to run errands. I was worried I'd never be able to, have somebody else babysit her because she would just, scream the moment I left the room. And I was so worried about that. And she is almost 4 right now. And she goes to preschool. And the moment we get there, she's like, okay, bye, Mom. I'll see you later. There's no hug. There's no kiss. She's just ready to go. She's ready to play. She's ready to do other things. And I think that baby wearing really helped both of us. It helped me to feel like I was fulfilling her needs to be with me. It fulfilled my needs to do other things. Like I had my hands available to to do other things that I needed to do. And it did. It boosted her confidence. It gave her the independence that she has today. And I really think that baby wearing was it saved us that first, 18 months, I would say, before she finally blossomed into who she is now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's nice to know. I feel like I'm not ready to like go out into the world too much. Well, there's not too much to do out in the world right now, but, I've thought we have like a wedding on New Year's that we're going to, and I'm like, how am I going to like leave her? My husband's in the wedding, and so, and they're family and good friends of ours. And like that thought of like you're saying, am I going to be able to leave her for a couple hours and stuff like that? I'm like, oh my gosh, what if she just screams the entire time? It's like out of your control though,
It really is. It's out of your control. I would definitely recommend a dry run for that if you can, but if that's the case, then there will be a way around it, or, to work with it.
Yeah, for sure. So I'd love to get into your guys' company, Hope and Plum. You guys have this awesome ring sling company, and your fabrics are amazing. Just even the visuals, like you said, you wanted to make it look appealing, and it totally does. So I'd love for you guys to tell us all about your company and where people can buy your ring slings at.
So we started Hope and Plum back in 2018. Mallory and I, we were looking to do something together. We were like best friends. And so we were kind of looking at things that we were passionate about. At the time, there was really a lack of size inclusivity in the space. And there was also sort of this idea of people, certain companies would launch their ring slings, they'd sell out in like 1 minute or less. And it was just getting a little... It's like, as a mom, it's like, I really don't need this extra stress and disappointment when I don't get something I'm trying to buy and want. And so with that, we decided like, hey, let's do ring slings. Literally no experience in manufacturing or retail outside of, I don't know, working at Kohl's at one point in my life, I guess. I am a corporate lawyer. So I think that really was helpful from a legal aspect. It's actually really a highly regulated industry. So I think some people don't realize there's a lot that goes into the legal side of this. And all of our carriers are tested. Each fabric is tested. And so again, it's really safe and highly regulated. And it's kind of an evolving thing. But that said, we just sort of had the idea in May 2018, and we were making slings and selling them by September 2018, which was pretty wild. And since then, we've only kind of grown, which has been really exciting. And it's been really fun to evolve. It's kind of stressful. Mallory's actually moving. I mean, everything you see except for collaboration slings are slings we design now. So, we started off not doing custom fabrics. The bigger we got, everything we do now, we design. And so it's just like, we are moms, Mallory manages our seamstress team. They're all made by stay-at-home moms, work-at-home moms, in Minnesota. And so it's all local production, which has been really great. But it's pretty wild, right? Mallory's running around and managing sort of 7 different people at this time. And we're only growing every month, it seems. And so that, plus you're designing fabrics, plus you're running social media, plus you're doing all the other things that exist in the world. And so it's intense. But we love it. And that's what keeps us going. I mean, really, we get the sweetest messages from moms, and Mallory's a baby wearing, she's, how do I say it, Mallory?
I'm a trained baby wearing consultant.
You're a trained baby wearing consultant. I'm sorry. I didn't want to misspeak on that title. But it's really helpful because she can send a DM and somebody can be like, I'm really struggling with fit. And we immediately reach out. It's really, as Mallory said earlier in this interview, so important to us to see safe baby wearing. And so that's why, we really work hard to make sure that that's what's going on. And so, anyway, sorry, my spouse Does anyone else's spouse not think they're working when they're working? It blows me away. Like, still in here, still staring. Anyway,
yes.
Like, sorry, you totally threw me off. But anyway, like I was saying, it's definitely, it's been a wild ride, and it's not slowing down. So Mallory's we're moving out of her basement. It's like, we're growing up, we're going to college. So we're moving out of our parents' basement into our own new facility in 10 days, which is wild. And we're so excited, especially Mallory, because she's going to get her basement back. But yeah.
That is so amazing.
Yeah, well, let me let Mallory talk. I mean, really, so I do a lot of the day-to-day legal stuff, legal, business, boring stuff, numbers. It's not that fun. And then I do also some fun, like social media and things like that. But Mallory is like the heart and soul. So I'm going to let her talk about what she does.
Yeah, I mean, Sky covered the majority of it. Sky does do a lot. Don't let her, she doesn't do only boring stuff. I would say that the majority of our designs are done by her. She has a really good eye for design. And yeah, this entire company has just been a huge labor of love for both of us. Sky was saying, when she was on maternity leave for her youngest daughter, she was working. I remember I had to call her. I think she was still in the hospital about something that I needed her input on. And yeah, we don't get a ton of downtime, but it's okay because we really love this, and we're just working really hard to make this company awesome and amazing and bigger, and just make it everything that we're hoping for.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, and I mean, first of all, the fact that you guys get the opportunity to do something that you love and that you're passionate about is amazing, because when those two worlds collide, I feel like it's rare, but then it's also just so extremely fulfilling, right? And you can pour your heart into it. But secondly, the fact that you guys started this 2 years ago and you're dominating the market, like, that is amazing. Like, whenever I see anybody post about a ring sling, it's Hope and Plum. So I'm like, you guys did this in 2 years. Usually they say it takes at least 2 years before you even start to like see a profit, right? So the fact that you guys like are killing it, you're doing something right.
That can all be attributed 110% to Sky.
Uh-huh.
I always make the joke that when Sky thinks of something that needs to get done, it should have been done yesterday, because that's really just how she lives life. Like, she's constantly going at 110%. It's not always healthy, but it's what she does. And it's really like, she's really pushed us, and she's found new avenues for us. She's worked tirelessly, relentlessly to get us out there, to get our name out there. And it's all been her. I just kind of coordinate people and send out slings.
I'd like to tap into some of that energy that you have, Sky.
Yeah. My husband says it's unhealthy. I mean, I think what you were saying, we're so passionate about it. And I think the more we grow, the more we see people using our slings. Like, COVID was hard. I mean, it is still hard. I mean, it was brutal. We had to drop the week of shutdown from, where most places shut down fully. And it was brutal. And, we thought, like, are we going to keep going? Are we going to keep doing this? And, I think the great thing about having a business partner, and whenever somebody asks me about starting a business, I'm like, if you can find a business partner, it really helps, because mentally you dig deep. And like, if I have a bad day, Mallory is kind of there to counterbalance. If we both have a bad day, it's just a bad day. And so, but it really is, I don't know, we just don't stop. And we have expanded our team. We have Gianna, who works with us. She's you see all the content we put out there. She's amazing, and works really hard too. Like, just our team in general. We have friends who volunteer and help us just because they love ring slings too. I mean, we've really tapped into kind of this passion project that has just been incredible to kind of watch it evolve, because there's so many people that are passionate about this, and they see that people struggle, right? Like, you're struggling at 6 weeks to baby wear. And we are just that passionate that we're like, no, don't give up. Like, talk to us, like, show us what you're doing. FaceTime us. We will help you, because it's not because we're trying to sell you ring slings. We're trying to sell the idea of baby wearing because we genuinely think that this is going to help moms and really just change things, like, how people parent. And I think that it's a wonderful change. And so we're not pushing it for the fact that we want to see Hope and Plum ring slings all over the world, although that'd be awesome. But what it really is about this idea of baby wearing, because it helped us so much and we just want to see other parents thrive. And that's really why we do it. And I think that on the hard days, which there are so many, not to lie. But on those days, you get that one message of like, you have changed. Like, my baby loves your slings. I love your slings. You get that one message or something. And it's like, this is why I do it. And so, yes. And that's the best reminder, for me anyway. But yes. And Mallory also like touches every sling that goes through our, like, yes, I work a lot, but she literally, you got your sling.
Yes.
Beautifully rolled. Yes. She hand rolls all these slings. Imagine thousands of slings a year.
Oh my gosh.
Hand rolled by this human being.
Yeah.
Like, and then she sends them out. It's wild. And like, oh my gosh, no. Like and I think that's the other thing. I could never do what Mallory does ever. Like, I whine when I have to roll slings for a photo shoot. I'm like, oh my gosh, I have to roll this sling for this photo shoot. And Mallory does that every day, all day, and then if Mallory has to do something I do, she's like, this is really boring. So we have a really great kind of partnership in that way that, our strengths are kind of different. And we can kind of play off that with one another. So yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. And for those of you listening, I'm going to be doing, an IGTV tutorial, on the ring sling, on the Hope and Plum sling, so that I can learn how to put Jovi into it. Because honestly, like, the one day I was able to like get a little bit done, and it was awesome, because I'm like at that point where I'm like, I don't even eat lunch. Well, hardly ever breakfast, but like, I don't even eat till like noon or 2 during the day. And I'm like, that's not good. Like, I need to be nourishing and taking care of my body. And if I can just throw her in something and carry her with me, I can like feel like a normal human being again and not trapped so much. Like you said, like getting a glass of water, there's times where I'm like, I have this like nook in the corner of my couch where I'm feeding her and I'm like, I can't reach my water. Like, I can't, or you sit down and you forgot the one thing. You're like, oh my gosh, I forgot to grab this thing. And now I'm, you're just like stuck. You feel stuck. So I feel like it'll help me start to feel like I can live my life a little bit again.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. So I'm excited for the tutorial. When this episode comes out, we'll have the tutorial up very, very shortly. On my Instagram page. And then where can people find and follow you guys and buy your slings?
Well, we are on Instagram. Hope and Plum is our handle on Instagram. And then hopeandplum.co is our website. That's where we sell all of our slings. Where I touch all the slings that come out. I made that sound just a little bit dirty. But yeah, those are the 2 places. We're also on Facebook. We have a wonderful VIP page on Facebook where we have different customers and fans of ours post photos in their slings. We talk about random parenthood things in there as well. Sometimes we, give little hints or show people upcoming fabrics, and it's a really fun place to go for. I would say like our Facebook VIP page is like the real, that's, the moms who are, didn't take a shower today, but still took a photo, and that's great. And we love that. And that's awesome. We totally encourage that. Whereas I feel like Instagram is like the glamour shots, and we do post a lot of real moments, but I think it's a little gussied up. And so we like having those 2 separate spaces for people to feel like I don't always have to look like I, got up and put on a full face of makeup every single day.
Right.
There are those days where you just can't brush your teeth until 5 p.m. and that's just how it goes.
Mm-hmm.
Or you don't wash your hair.
Yeah, or you don't wash your hair. Sky knows a lot about that one.
I do
I got
too.
some great dry shampoos.
Yes.
Yeah.
I just washed,
Yeah.
I took a shower. My mom's in town, so she's watching my daughter right now, but I told her, I was like, I wash my hair maybe once a week. So that's a maybe. But for some reason, with postpartum and pregnancy, my hair doesn't really get that greasy. It's crazy. It's definitely weird.
It's because you had a girl.
Maybe.
And I don't say that to be mean. It's just with my daughter, my hair was great and amazing and never got greasy. And then when I was pregnant with my son, I couldn't go more than like a day.
Oh, that's so crazy.
I still really struggle. Yeah, it's crazy.
So interesting. It's so interesting how all the stuff like affects everybody differently. You know, like I was talking to my mom about my breastfeeding BO, how I'm like, dude, I just stink while I'm breastfeeding. Like I just realized I forgot to put deodorant on after my shower. So that could be part of it because you just don't remember to do things. But I'm like, I put deodorant on and I am just like, Jovi, I'm so sorry your face is in my armpit. Like I smell breastfeeding, but I've talked to other women and it's like such a common thing, right? But some people are like, what? No, I didn't struggle with that at all, you know? So
yeah,
everybody.
Lucky them.
I know. Everybody has their different things.
Struggle.
Yeah.
And I think it depends on when your kid is born, what season.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Thank you so much for coming on and just chatting with me about this. I know our listeners are going to love it because a lot of them baby wear. I know a lot of people know a little bit about it, but want to know more, or it's something that they haven't really thought of before and they're about ready to have a kid and they're like, well, wait a second, I need to get in on this. So I'm excited to share my baby wearing journey with the listeners. And yeah, thank you so much again for coming on and chatting with me.
Thank you so much for having us.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you. It was so much fun.
I had such a blast talking with them. And I do need their help. So I'm so excited for the tutorial this week because after the episode, I tried to do the ring sling and I couldn't do it. And it could be me. It could be me. So I'm excited to have an expert talk me through it and show me how to get Jovi in there. So that I can get my hands freed up a little bit to, do some other things. I just realized, you guys, it is 5:45 p.m. And I just realized that I put chicken sausage in the microwave at about 10 a.m. and it's still in there. I put it, I get this chicken sausage from Costco, and I normally make it on the stove, but now I just don't have time. I mean, it's already cooked and it's frozen. So I heated some up in the microwave this morning for some protein and forgot about it. So it's still sitting in the microwave. Man, this mom life thing is a trip. And I used to think before, I'm like, I'm kind of scatterbrained anyways. So, it probably won't be that much of a difference, but there is a difference. So anyways, I am so excited for you guys to hear this episode. We have some other awesome guests coming up next week. We have someone from Big Brother on right before the season finale. So that will be super exciting to talk with her. And yeah, I'm excited for all of the podcasts that we have coming up. I'm excited to continue to grow with you. If you're listening, make sure that you hit the subscription button and leave a comment. When you guys leave reviews, it helps get the podcast seen more. It helps get it out there. It's like on Instagram when you like a photo, or follow an account. So when you subscribe and leave a review, it helps other people see this podcast so we can get more women a part of our community, and so that they don't feel alone in the journey that they're in and just wanting to learn and grow with us. So make sure that you do that. And I appreciate every single person that has. It makes my heart so happy to read the comments from you guys and just to be able to connect with you. So I love you and I look forward to just continuing on this journey with you and interviewing the guests that we have coming up and learning with you guys. So I will connect with you throughout the week on Instagram. So don't forget to find and follow Miraculous Mamas there, and I'll see you next week. Bye.
If you like this podcast, come check out the I Don't Get It podcast.
There's no topics we don't or won't discuss.
Seriously, I mean, we overshare our personal stories, so you don't have to.
From relationships, love, heartbreak, or sadness, to hot news and celebrity interviews.
And of course, the best Bachelor exclusives.
All on the I Don't Get It podcast.
You can find the link in the show notes.